So there has been a topic that I've been thinking about and thinking over for a number of years now. And that is the now I know why the hell my microphone input has been so damn low the past few videos, and that's because I manually set the levels in Audacity to be very minimal or low input capturing or some shit like that. And that is the concept of free speech. Now, this is where I stand when it comes to free speech. First, I should give you my perspective on free speech. I am an American citizen. I was born here October 25th, 1995, in Philadelphia. I have a mother and a father. They are both, I would say, my dad is more liberal, a bit centrist. My mom is a little more radical. I would also say that because of my upbringing as a special education student, I value intellectual debate as one of the most important cornerstones on my life. And I've always been someone who has tried to question as much as possible, even in my surroundings. I've always wanted to learn. I've always wanted to be like a sponge for data, even though my brain, because I have a learning disability and I have ADD, I have a little trouble maintaining certain bits of information. I do try my best to try to retain it. But with that in mind, let's go to the whole topic of free speech. If you're an American, you are in favor in the concept of free speech. You are in favor of the concept of open ideas. Even if that means allowing your enemy to speak. Now, this goes into public versus college. A lot of people claim that free speech is being assaulted at college campuses. Now, I go to a community college, and I don't think I have really seen this, to be honest. Now, you might say because it's a community college, certain intellectuals may not be interested in coming to the college, but I would like to think that my college is very free and open to express whatever crap you want to express. However, if you are expressing an unpopular idea, and the discourse and the outrage that comes from you spreading that idea, comes at you, then I don't think you should be a whiny bitch and say, "Oh, my free speech is being censored." No, this is the beauty of the concept of a university and the concept of college is that you are there to express yourself. You are there to prove your idea. You are there to have your idea on display. Guess what? If your idea is shit and people are calling you out for your shitty idea, that's not... Oops, hold on. Sorry about the gain, guys, but I'm really just trying to make sure the gain is at an acceptable level. So if there are some audio peaks, I apologize. Your ass is going to be challenged. A great example was when I went to a Philadelphia Antifa rally. Where's the video footage? Well, it's on a fucking hard drive, and I have to get it sent to Geek Squad so they can get the data off the hard drive and put on a different hard drive, and I gotta hope to God that that data is intact. But I was yelling at these Westboro Baptist Church wannabe assholes who are preaching all this shit about, their anti-gay propaganda. And there were those that were saying, "No, stop, let them speak. Their ideas will destroy themselves." And here's my opinion on that. That is true, I believe, in the university setting, in the field where you can have a controlled debate, right? However, when you're in a public space that isn't a college, then you better be ready to have your bigoted shit challenged and curb stomped by the masses and by the people calling you out on your shit. If you're saying transgenders and gays are going to go straight to hell, fuck you, buddy. You're going to get your ass challenged. Because guess what? Under the United States Constitution, that both the bigot and myself will be using as a reason to why we are able to express our opinions, that means that your stupid shit can be challenged by my reasoning. That means that if the eugenicist, race realist idiot comes out and starts to claim that there are studies that black people are inferior to white people, I can come out with studies that debunked that crap from the 19th century. And I can say, hey, you're full of shit. And people will say, well, what about Dave Rubin's approach? I believe that is mildly dangerous in a sense, because, as I said, there are certain ideas and concepts that are vile. Nazism is a vile idea. I would say the alt-right's way of thinking is a vile idea. I would say that those that are of the Steven Crowder variety have shitty ideas. Now, if you give someone who is a bigoted piece of shit, like Molly Yiannopoulos or Steven Crowder, the chance to openly express their bigoted crap without having any interruptions or challenges to their arguments, then I believe that is doing a great intellectual disservice to the person that is listening. I believe that hurts the opportunity for the better ideas to come out. Now, you might say, well, you're being irrational or unreasonable. I need to address this part as well. I am a Jewish man. And maybe my perception on giving the alt-right and the far-right extremists, like Richard Spencer and others, a platform to spew their crap, while I will defend their right to publish, to post videos on YouTube, I will defend their right to publish their shitty ideas, but I will always challenge their shitty ideas. Because shitty ideas need to be challenged, and this is the problem with a free-form debate and a moderator. The scary thing about people like Richard Spencer is he is able to look very sharply dressed. He's a very sharply dressed evil piece of shit. And that's scary. Because people will not listen to the radical in their casual, clothes. They'll listen to the white man who's well dressed and speaking very clearly and elegantly. Meanwhile, they are proposing some of the most barbaric and evil ideas that have ever graced society. For example, the concept of eugenics. That's a terrible idea. That's a shitty way of thinking. That got a shit ton of people killed and will continue to get a lot of people killed to this day. So the eugenicist needs to be called on their shit. The eugenicist needs to be mocked. The eugenicist needs to be laughed at. The Holocaust denier needs to be called on their shit. Because here's a fact. The eugenicist has no argument. The eugenicist is a vile, manipulative scumbag. The race realist is merely an extension of the eugenicist. If you are really willing to look back at the arguments of the eugenicists, you will see that the race realists are just rewording this shit for the 21st century because they can't openly say that the black man and the white man are two separate species because that'll piss a lot of people off. But if you reword it, if you use intellectual language, if you manipulate it, then you make racism sound reasonable. You make Holocaust deniers sound reasonable. Even though David Irving lost that fucking court case, where the whole court case was to prove that Holocaust denial was complete bullshit. Again, sorry I'm going all over the place. But what does this have to go to with my conclusion of freedom of speech. My conclusion on this matter is that free speech is essential. The asshole should have the right to protest. The asshole should have the right to get on to have signs that say, hey, gays go to hell, gays go to hell. But don't be surprised when the bigoted asshole is given a little pushback, is shown, aggression. Because these are ideas that I'd like to think most of society has realized are dangerous, are evil. Those that are intelligent enough will accept that. It's why I don't feel I need to listen to the eugenicists' argument, because their arguments are crap. But again, freedom of speech. Now here's the danger. Here's the only problem nowadays. My types of videos, right? I'm a very left-wing person. My videos will get a lot of dislikes because I'm a blunt asshole. I don't care to word my arguments as eloquently as others would. But I do believe in this day and age, unfortunately, with the way political discourse has gone, I do feel the need to be as aggressive and maybe a little mean as possible. Not censoring people, not straight up saying, well, you can't say this, you can't say that. Because, hey, this is the United States of America. You have the right to put a fucking swastika up on your lawn. That's your private property. But, hey, don't be surprised, I should say, to get any pushback from the community if you put a swastika up or a Confederate flag up or any hate symbol up. I guess what I'm trying to get at is we're living in an age where the left is at a very unusual point in history, where the left is kind of at a bit of an identity crisis, and so is the right. And I think the problem is that people who may believe themselves as intellectually honest people might be more swayed by a Jordan Peterson when Jordan Peterson is confronted by someone who is of a oppressed group, calling them out. Now, I will say I have watched that clip of Jordan Peterson arguing about pronouns and labels, and I can say, I think, hey, if a trans person asks, hey, could you call me this? Could you call me he instead of she? I think that's perfectly fine. We're going to have to get to a point where the language evolves. Human language always evolves. I believe if I asked Noam Chomsky about this through an email, that he would word it in a very eloquent way. That man is... Noam Chomsky's a freaking genius, I should say. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. I hope I made my views kind of clear. I'm aware this is a bit rambly, but what else is new? I just wanted to get this off my chest. I feel I should further elaborate on my views on the concept of the intellectual debate of ideas. There's a friend of mine who's in the Army, and whenever she visits, we have these interesting exchanges of ideas, and she can confirm that my political philosophy and my way of thinking is, I would say, pretty well thought out. Again, I would say I do have a little bit of trouble precisely articulating what I am trying to say or get across, and I would attribute that to my learning disability that I have. But, if you are someone who is a political thinker, then you work past that shit. But on the other hand, overall, the debate of ideas, I believe outside the intellectual fields of the university and college, one could argue and suggest that they are wishful thinking, that they would have to be on the spectrum of the perfect balance of emotion and rationality. And unfortunately, if you have something that's purely logical, then you will have possibly a lot of vile ideas. If you have something that's has so much emotion, then you will also have something that goes a little too crazy. I would say both the left and the right value rationality and emotions. I mean, it's just a fact. Both political philosophies, I think, crave that. But the main point is how well you articulate your argument. And this was some great footage I got during my Antifa thing. Well, they weren't really called Antifa. I should clarify this. The group was called Resist Fascism. And I got a ton of interview footage from a lot of people. But the one interview I remember the most was that of a white supremacist. Man, it was a blatant white supremacist. He was spewing all the white supremacist talking points. That should be real as hell. I was kind of afraid, going up to him and really calling him out on his shit. Because, I mean, I was holding a fucking DSLR fucking camera that was like probably a few thousand. That was like $1,000, maybe not $1,000, maybe a few $100. And I don't want that fucker getting smashed to the fucking pavement. Thank you very much. But while I was hearing his arguments, they were very scary arguments to me because of how wrong they were. I mean, they were comical arguments when you really heard them and you re-listened to them and you played them back. It was truly pathetic. It was eye-opening in the sense that you realize that there is evil out there. There is a real evil in this world. And that is the evil of those that want to keep minorities down. That want to keep minorities as a lower class of people in our society. And those are the types of assholes that you gotta watch out for. And I would say the guy was pretty young. He was probably around my age, maybe a little older than that, but regardless, I would like to believe that a lot of these white supremacists can be saved with rehabilitation if our prison system and psychiatric systems were drastically reformed and focused more on rehabilitation rather than punishment. I'm aware there's another word for that, but it's just, I can't think of it right now. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this 14-minute video or however long the video is. So yeah, once again, live long and prosper.